Hi, and welcome to another video. I don't know where or how I'm gonna post this section, right? Either in the middle of a vlog that I'm working on or by itself. I guess we'll see, editing Laura. But consider this a mid-semester review. For those of you who are new here, hi, hello, my name is Laura, and I am a PhD candidate at GSU, and I like to talk about my journey in grad school and dealing with mental health and ADHD. So again, if you're new here, I am currently in the spring semester of my first year of the PhD program. I already completed my master's, so right now I am working on my PhD. This year is also, or this academic year is also the very first time in which I considered being a teacher. I am a graduate teaching assistant, so I teach first year writing, which essentially is English 1101 and 1102. So now that I've recapped all of that, a lot has happened between the start of the semester to where we are now. Right now it's March and my spring break is coming up soon. So that's why I'm considering this like a mid-semester review. So I was dealing with my inner winter season. She was going through it. The mental health was not helping, and I was hiding a lot of that behind my work, my social life, coincidentally or ironically. There you go, that's the word. I was hiding a lot of that depression around my schoolwork, ironically, my social life, and it just kept spiking on certain points where I just desperately needed to disappear for a while, right? And you know, since our bodies follow nature's true new year, spring is coming, and I could physically feel myself coming out of that mental funk, if you will. Could it have something to do with seasonal depression? Who knows? I've never had issues, but you know. And so that was basically how January and February was spent. Luckily, I was able to get out of the funk sometimes, you know, in time for my birthday and in time for Galentine's Day. But that is where I could also argue that I was essentially just hiding behind those events when deep down, I needed to do something about my mental health. So that is the very vulnerable but truth personal update that I wanted to get out there. Actually, another reason why I've kind of been around YouTube was because in the midst of this winter season, I lost myself a lot actually, and I got embarrassed again on posting. I think it's because of a lot of the new friends that I met in grad school. I just got so embarrassed of them possibly finding my vlogs and everything. Every single person that I've mentioned that I have a YouTube channel and I want to regularly vlog and everything like that, I've always had positive reassurance, encouragement. They've been nice, is what I'm trying to say. But I guess this new wave of people just really made me nervous. And I just couldn't get out of that fear in my head to pick up the camera again and actually make a formal video. That's why my last vlog was basically B-roll and subtitles. And I am trying to change that. Quick side note, I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but when I moved to this apartment, I bought myself a new chair, and it's a very fancy gaming chair, and it has a footrest that could be adjusted and everything like that. And oh boy, is it so much more comfortable to be able to sit in my desk for hours. I don't recommend it, but as a writer, I kind of have to, you know? Yeah, so 10 out of 10, recommend this chair or this style of chair. So nice, so comfortable, so lovely. In this channel, actually, I love to talk about my reading as well. And that's what this next section is gonna be about. I most likely mentioned it in my last video, but I set myself a New Year's resolution to very cut down on the amount of books that I need to read, essentially. I'm gonna insert some clips here, but I bought a new bookshelf. It's beautiful, I love it, but I needed this new bookshelf because the amount of books that I kept buying was getting ridiculous, that I needed more space. So I want to, you know, eventually turn that bookshelf into books that I've read already. I usually like to keep my TBR on a cart to make sure that I'm on it, and the cart started overflowing. And that's not good, obviously. So I made a goal or a New Year's resolution, however you call it, to cut down on some of the reading. And I want to talk about it because so far I've been enjoying the read. The first book I read for this challenge also happens to be the first book that I read for a book club that I'm in. My roommates and I are doing a book club, and the first book that we picked was No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. And unfortunately, this was a DNF for me. I honestly just couldn't get past his writing style. Could this have been a wrong time, wrong moment type of situation? Probably. But I don't really see myself picking this back up anytime soon. So far, we've been picking up books that have movie adaptations for them, and I personally have always wanted to see the movie of No Country for Old Men. Now that I've actually seen it, I loved it. It was a great movie. So we'll see. The next book I read was a solo read. So this isn't part of the book club. I was reading these at the same time. And that is Monstrilio. Yeah, that is Monstrilio by Herdado Samona Cordova. By Herdado Cordova. And this book just blew me away, basically. It is literary horror. I didn't know it was literary horror. I thought it was just horror, so I thought I was gonna go into some blood and guts and everything. But it is. But this quote at the back of the book perfectly summarizes what this book is basically about. This is by Gabino Iglesias from Boston Globe. And he says, at once a novel about family and love, a creepy tale that questions what it means to be human, and a celebration of queer stories. Monstrilio is as shocking as it is profound, and as humorous as it is thoughtful. yeah, honestly, I couldn't have said it better myself. I really loved this book. I did put it in my favorites shelf, but I'm still kind of not sure if it belongs there. I did really, really like it, but the middle half kind of slowed it down for me, to which why I'm that's why I'm questioning if it deserves a spot on my favorites shelf. So yeah. So that is Mostrillo by Gerdado Cordava by Gerdado Cordava. These next 3 novels I actually read in class. So this semester I'm only taking 2 classes as a student because I'm teaching 2 classes as a GTA. So, and one of my classes is just a seminar teaching us how to prepare for our prospectus. And the other class that I'm taking is Victorian poetry. I was very excited for this course. I've always wanted to take it because there was a undergrad version of this course, but I just never got the chance to take it because it would interfere with like other classes and everything like that, scheduling issues. So I finally was able to fit this in my schedule, and this class very much humbles me and reminds me every day that poetry is not my strong suit. But that's a different conversation for another time. The first poet that we read was Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and we read other works from her, but the main book that we read from her, or the main poem that we read from Elizabeth Barrett Browning, is Laura Lee. And we only needed to read the first 2 books out of the 9 that are in here. And I was really liking it. I did my poetry scansion essay on this novel, or on this book. And again, since I only made it to book 2, I consider it read, but I'm keeping it on a different shelf than my main shelves to go and finish it. Obviously it was a DNF because I needed to move on, but I really genuinely want to go back and finish this. It was great. It was a great time while I was reading it. The second poet that we read, and these are works that I'm reading for the very first time, so I'm just genuinely impressed, right? Like, I've heard their names, but I've never actually read their works. So the second poet that we read is Alfred Tennyson. And, again, I've heard of Tennyson. I've just never read his work. Again, I just fell so in love with his writing. It was so nice. We read about 5 poems, including In Memoriam, which is his long poem that talks about the grief of losing his friend, of losing his male friend. You know what I mean? And I never knew how beautiful he can write and how beautiful he can make grief sound like, until I started reading In Memoriam. We were supposed to read all of it, so this is on me. I couldn't finish it because I was focused on I was running behind on my classes. This was also kind of the height of my big sadness. So I was really just focusing on hitting certain parts, certain necessities. I didn't get to finish all of In Memoriam. I was able to read more because of how much I liked it. But if this would have been a poet that I was not into, I would not have read a single bit because of how depressed I was, essentially. If anything, Tennyson was able to clear away some of those skies when we were talking about In Memoriam in class. Like, a lot of the stuff that he talked about, a lot of like the analogies and adjectives and just like, you know, his poetry just really resonated with me at the time. I wasn't grieving, but you know, I was sad, and it helped a lot to read this. I think I picked up In Memoriam at the right time, is what I'm trying to say. So that was Tennyson. He's going to be in a special shelf again because this is definitely something that I can't read cover to cover, but I do want to pick up once in a while to, you know, read the other poems that I never got to, or to reread In Memoriam or something, right? Just great, lovely time of being sad, essentially. The most recent poet that I actually kind of sort of read, the next poet that I actually kind of sort of read, because again, this was really near the height of my depression, was Robert Browning, who is the husband of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. The one or two poems that I read were pretty fun reads. So I don't know if I want to put him in the special shelf for me to come back and actually finish his work, but I also don't want to feel like I spent money buying this book for no reason. So I just might. I don't know. Again, I'm not a big poem girly, and I feel bad because I did eventually just put Mary Oliver on my regular shelf, as in I'm done picking her up, even though I loved her poems. So we'll see on Browning. Yeah, we'll see on Browning. Obviously, since this is a mid-semester review, there are more poets that I'm reading, but I will save those for a semester recap. A end of semester recap, basically. But for our book club, I don't have my copy with me. But for my book club, the next book that we're reading is Girl Interrupted, and this is actually a reread for me, so I could actually give some thoughts on it right now. Because honestly, my opinion, I'm halfway through the book and my opinions haven't really changed. It's a fun, fast read. I do think it's a little outdated now, but if you're a fan of the movie, I think you'll be a fan of the book. Just don't expect some deep insights or deep drama or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not bored. I'm reading it, which is really surprising for me, because sometimes it is really hard to reread books for me. Honestly, the only reason why I'm not done with it is because I was busy with my classes. But right now, I am at a lull in school, which means I could pick it back up and finish reading. But because I'm reading Girl Interrupted, I have not picked up my next TBR challenge book. However, I did already draw from the tub of names that I created for this challenge, and my next read is a Clarice Lispector novel, and it's Hour of the Star. And for those of you who are new here or who don't remember, 1 year ago I actually started reading Clarice Lispector with Near to the Wild Heart, and I loved that book so much that I challenged myself to read her entire discography, if that's the right word, to read all of her works, basically. So I think it's pretty funny that my next book is actually a Clarice Lispector book, because I feel like that's like the universe helping me with that challenge. And it's so small. I really shouldn't be freaking out. Today's the 6th of March, so I'm hoping to have at least read 2 more books of my TBR challenge, or at least one more book of my TBR challenge by the end of the month, especially because by the for spring break I have an exciting trip that I am going to vlog about, so you guys will see what that is. But that trip will honestly include a ton of reading time, so I expect to make headway on that. Essentially, that is everything that I essentially wanted to review and recap for you guys for this video. Again, I am really trying to vlog a lot, just to document my journey in grad school. I feel like that would be very cathartic. The other day I actually kind of was going through a moment regretting. The thought was kind of like, I really signed myself for another 5 years of this, didn't I? This, like, that I really chose this. This was a choice. And those thoughts are natural. Those thoughts are going to happen, and I want to create a space where I can just brain dump them. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much. If you have any questions, consider leaving them in the comment section. But if this is where we part, I hope you have a very nice rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.